Hey, everybody out there in Hard Drive Radio Land, Paulie here again, and I am so freaking excited to be joined by one of my favorite bands right now, and I'm not even making that up. I'm not being exaggerating in any way. John and Jer from Monster Truck, man, it is so good to see you guys again.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, good to be here.
Great to be here.
Brand new album right here.
Yeah.
Check that out. Yeah. True Rockers. The best name possible for an album, and it absolutely lives up to his expectations, man. I've been listening to this nonstop since I got it.
Awesome.
I just think, first of all, you know, the name right there. The first track on the album, True Rocker. Was that always the intent to just you wanted to make a kick-ass rock and roll record that really just kind of like gets into it, man? Was that the goal?
Right.
Yes.
I think the whole thing
Exactly.
was to make it more of like not just one style of rock, kind of trying to transcend a little bit and make ourselves a little bit more, I guess, I don't know, what would you call it?
I don't know.
Expand our repertoire.
We wanted to diversify the record a little bit.
Yeah, diversify. There you go.
We had like 2 full-length records we put up before that, and we're really happy with them. And you know, they obviously went over really well, or we wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. And the only criticism that we had ourselves and people that would listen to it too is that it kind of would start to blend together by about song 8 or 9. You'd be like maybe starting to feel like you'd heard that song already before, and I don't think you'll ever get that problem with this album. We switched it up so much that there's now you could actually, even if you wanted to be like a dick, you could be like, there's too many different things going on here on this album, right? So that would be like a compliment, because like we always do the other side. So
So when did you start writing this collection of songs? When did work start on the album?
the second that actually there's pieces of that record that are from the principal songwriting for Sittin' Heavy. Like Thunder Truck has been around for like 3 or 4 years, as in varying states and forms. And you know, we get stalled out on a track sometimes, and we just put it to bed and come back to it later. And then, you know, you come at it with a fresh mindset. Or you have like an example on that track, we had one idea that like completely transformed into something that worked from something that didn't, which was that we took the idea for the main heavy lead at the beginning, of the really fast lead that was on guitar, and moved it over to the organ. And as soon as we did that, it opened me up on the guitar to make, you know, do my own thing. And then all of a sudden we're like, well, let's do this for the verse. And then next thing you know, the song's done.
Yeah,
So
we usually start writing right when the next record's done too. Like not even until it's out. Like once the recording is finished, we're like, okay, well we got 4 new songs from jamming so much while we were doing that record and things. So.
I don't like when people say they have writer's block.
And we don't.
I don't like that. I think it's lazy. I think that's just really lazy. That means you stopped writing for a minute. Like you're a musician or a poet or whatever. It's like you should never, even if it's something dumb, like you should just never stop. If you don't ever stop, you can never end up with writer's block. So at least that's my theory. There's probably people out there that are sitting at home like can't write right now, and they're like, that guy's a dick. But I really think that you got to just do it all. You can never stop writing. Always recording. Always writing. Yeah.
You only fail when you give up, right?
Yeah, like when you like literally just saying you have writer's block, you're buying into your own story. You know, you're like saying it's like that's a chicken and the egg scenario where like you have one day where you don't write, and then you're like, well, I have writer's block. It's like now you really have writer's block. Like you don't say that. Just write, even if it sucks. Like, you know, I've written like probably 200 songs in the last 2 years. Obviously didn't use about 190 of them. You know? Like. It's not all. They're not all gems.
Not everyone's a winner, but that's how you separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Find the good ones and the diamonds in the rough.
Yeah,
Of course.
Tell me about, you know, where you guys went for a producer. Where did you end up recording?
Holy moly.
Well, the producer of most of the record, his name's Dan Weller. He's from the UK. He's in a band called Sixth. They're like a tech metal band. But yeah, it's pretty funny. But he's like this great pop producer as well. So we went to Asheville, North Carolina, and did it at Echo
Tagged
Mountain.
him along, and
It's like an old.
the cool story about him is that we were forced into using him for a cover song that we got commissioned to do by.
Forced. He was
We
the
were
available producer.
We were forced into it due to circumstance. We got commissioned to do a cover of the Bay City Rollers Saturday Night. Don't ever listen to it. And we had to do it for a television program in Canada, Hockey Night in Canada. It's like, to us, it's like, you know, the Bible, you know, what we grew up on.
That's the Super Bowl every day for you guys.
For us.
Basically,
Super Bowl
every
Super Bowl
Saturday.
every Saturday. We got asked to do the opening song, so we're like, we would have done anything. You could have, you know, could have been a Whitney Houston song. We would have done it. So we were on tour with Nickelback in UK and Europe. We had 1 week to get the song, learn the song, and then go in the studio and record it. The only day we had available was this, like, I think it was like a Sunday or something, and the only person available to do it who was like worth their salt in the recording studio was Dan. And so we just met him that day. We just jumped into the studio, recorded the song front to back in one day. Turned out actually really good, a lot better than I'm making it out to be. And we loved him so much. Like, it was such a cool vibe, and everything went so smoothly, and like he was such a talent in the studio that we just were like, why don't we get him to do the record? Because it was perfect. Like, everything went flawlessly, and we loved him.
Nice. So, you know, for producers, they bring a lot to the table for a band. Whether it be, you know, trying to help you guys get past a roadblock or just making suggestions, you know, what were the kind of tricks that he used for you guys to kind of help you get to that next level for this album?
Hard work. Yeah, he really jumped in early on. He was listening to demos every other night or so that we were recording in our hometown of Hamilton, and he'd sit there and he'd wait on these demos that we would send him, and then he'd fire back notes on what he thought we could change. And there's like a song like Devil Don't Care on there. Like, we went back and forth with him on that song for like 2 or 3 weeks, like via email, just like, what about the chorus? We should maybe take the chorus and just like, maybe just get rid of the chorus, and like, you know, like really went through the gauntlet of like what we should do to make that song really flow. And you know, he did all that, and then in addition to that, once we got into the studio, he was just like, let's get a harmonica and let's get some strings, and I'll do the strings, and he does the strings in Pro Tools but on his own, and then let's get a trombone player and let's get him in here.
We didn't have any. There's no trombone.
The trombone player didn't make the cut.
I was gonna say, there's no trombone on that track.
No trombone.
Dude, you should, like, you could listen to that record and try and figure out where that would be, and you'll never figure it out, because it's just I remember when he told me he wanted to do it, I was like that's a bad idea. And it was like, you weren't really allowed to say that. It was like, we had the time. You know, everyone's getting ideas in, like, okay, bring the trombone guy in. Yeah. So the worst part about it was that not only was it like bad in concept, like this is not a good idea, and I knew it wasn't a good idea. The guy they got in to do it sucked. Oh, no. So it was like this bad idea with a sucky trombone player, and I was literally just sitting in the back of the room, just like looking up at Dan, like,
this is costing us money.
Yeah, can we? But you couldn't kick him out right away. Like, you can't have this guy come in and play for 30 seconds and be like, get here, we don't need you in here. So we had to listen to him like run through the take like over and over again, and I was like, have we humored this guy enough? Can we like get him out of here and like work on something real for a minute? But yeah, he you know, that was the one idea out of like 100 that this didn't work, but the other 99 are on the album.
Well, we did 3 songs in Toronto with Gavin Brown and Maya Davies. Gavin's like does 3 Days Grace, and you know,
most #1 rock singles in the history of the world.
Yeah, right? Congratulations to 3 Days Grace.
Yeah.
Well, History of America, yeah. No,
History of
they
America.
beat Van Halen.
Yes.
There you go.
How do you beat Van Halen at anything?
They did it. But yeah, with the Gavin tracks, we were just like, here, we have these songs, just go for it.
We were a little worn out. We'd been in meetings with the label and everything about what single to use off the record, and we couldn't figure it out. And so they were like, well, we're trying to decide between these 7 songs. We were like, 7 songs? Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It took me like 2 minutes to be like, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So you don't want 7 choices. That means there's not a clear-cut single on the record. So that was when we decided to go back in the studio and do that.
With the Hitmakers, and then pumped out 3 tunes, and came out with I think we came out with a really good record considering it's 2 sessions. It's a nice listen all the way through, I think.
Yeah.
I was trying to listen very closely because it lists in the notes, you know, who worked on which songs. So I was trying to see if I could tell, like, there's a little bit of a difference. I couldn't.
You should play. Wow.
The poppiest ones are the ones that Gavin.
No, don't see. This is the fun. This is like a fun like play at home game that you can do with our record. There's 3 songs done by one producer and 8 songs. Is there 11 songs? 8 songs.
Sure.
11 songs.
Yep.
Yeah, 8. I laid the artwork out. I don't even know.
11, yes.
Yeah. So there's 8. There's 8 songs on the record that are with one producer and 3 with another. If you can guess them, you win a prize.
Yep.
There you go. I do want to talk about the single, Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about what went into creating that song.
I was in like a really good spot, like creatively. I always am. As soon as the record's done, I just start pumping out like ideas like left and right, which is always weird because I'm just like, God damn it, why can't I just come up with this? So anyways, I came up with the ideas, the core, like the basic fundamentals of that song, and Young City Hearts and Hurricane. And Marv was in a little bit of a down spell, but he was listening to what I was working on, and he was like, those are wicked, let's get those ready for the next record. So then we started getting them ready, and he had like tons of wicked ideas, and we got it to the point where we were like, these songs are great. And then we got into the single dilemma, and we were just like, why don't we just go record these goddamn songs? So we did that, but they really changed a lot from the fundamental ideas, like from what I had to what like Marv put onto it, because his vocals always dictate the path of the song. And then when Gavin came in and he started putting putting in his 2 cents, which was more like 8 cents, the song's really
It was
like
a good 8 cents.
Well, that's the thing is like Dan, this is different. Like Dan, he had a lot of ideas. Unlike Dan, we listened to Gavin more than we did to Dan, because we were so like focused on trying to get some solid singles for the record. And Gavin's good ideas were better than we were used to, and his bad ideas we didn't stop. So like calling it that black and white is like really like, I don't mean to be harsh, but that was the way it was, is that we allowed everything to go on. The trombone made it on the album, you know, at that point, the theoretical trombone. And it was really an eye-opening experience of like doing a lot of stuff that we wouldn't have done before that really worked, that shocked us. Like, holy crap, we can do that, and it totally works. And then there was other things that we put on that, you know, in retrospect, I may not have done again. You know, like I'm glad that we did it, and you know, you really get to see where the line is when you step over it. You know, it's almost only when you step over it that you actually find out where the line is. You can only play it safe for so long, and then that was what happened.
And a lot of this is perception too. Like, it's because when we first put Evolution out, like, you should see the YouTube comments on that one.
Oh my God, I want to get into that.
Yeah.
Dude, have a look at them. They're pretty hilarious. Like, there's some really funny stuff where I'm just like, but then it gives you a negative perception of the song, and then in your head now, it's what these. It's so weird. That's one thing that I have a real problem with, is listening to people's opinions on the internet. It's just like,
turn it off. I had to turn it off.
If you're doing that, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. This is your artistic impression, or your. I don't want to call it art. That's ridiculous. But your rock and roll song. So like. Don't listen to all these other people, but now it's brutal, man. So in all, it's been a pretty popular song for us, and there's really no negatives except for the fact that we read a bunch of YouTube comments and got bummed out about it.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that too, because I can't read
It sucks.
YouTube comments at all.
No.
Like when we put out all these videos,
Yeah.
I watched them once before they're live. Like, okay, that looks good.
Goodbye.
And then I never watched
Yeah.
it again because I can't look at a single one. 'Cause
Troll
I know it'll
City.
crush
It's
me.
only people that don't like
exactly.
stuff that leave comments.
Oh,
People
yeah.
who like stuff don't leave comments.
Yeah, if
Very
your video has
seldomly.
no comments, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
right?
it's mostly like that. And then, of course, it's been doing better for us than just about any other single that we've dropped, especially outside of Canada. Canada, we've always gotten a lot of love. So it's so weird. And then of course, we play it live. And then we've even gotten the people that have retracted their statement, like they didn't like it at first, and then they actually like listened to it more than once, and they were like, oh, and then they get the whole record. See, the main thing was that it was the first single that we released, so I think that people were very concerned that there wouldn't be songs like Devil Don't Care, True Rocker, Thunder Truck, all those other songs that you've come to know us for that could fit on any one of our records. So releasing it as the first thing, like as in like the instant like track, what do they call it, the impact track,
The instant grat track or whatever.
that was
Gratty.
maybe a mistake, because it's like we're never going to stop doing those bluesy tunes. We're never going to stop doing riffy maniac songs. So it's like for that to have been the entry point for like, here's our new record, may have been a misstep, because it really didn't reflect the whole album. No song could really reflect the whole album, which is the strength of the record. So there you go.